Hello everyone and welcome to our community Right Education. I am Shilpy Gautam and I am a mentor for this exclusively free course on Linux automation with Ansible. So in last session we have seen introduction to YML files and how to write a playbook. Okay, so YML file, playbook concept, and also we have seen how to configure local yum with the help of Ansible. So these all we have already discussed in previous sessions. So today's agenda will be today we'll discuss the concept of variables in Ansible, and also we'll see how to write multiple play in a playbook. Okay, how to implement multiple plays in one playbook, and we'll configure web servers with the help of Ansible. So web server will be Apache HTTPD, and also Nginx. So we will configure these two web server with the help of Ansible today. So as I have already discussed in last session, that to configure a web server, we have three steps that we normally need to follow. So first step is installation of software. So first is installation of software. Second is copy the web page, or if we won't copy the web page in document root, then by default it will take the index file. Okay, so web page copy we need to do. If we won't do, then by default file is also already there, index file. And third is start the services. Okay, so third step will be start services, and fourth step will be, it is not the part of web server, but fourth step is if we want to reach our web server, then it is obvious that firewall should not be there. So we have to disable firewall, or we can say that we have to enable firewall for this service, like for HTTP or port number 80, we have to disable firewall. Okay, so we have to do these four steps in order to configure web server. So today also I have started three of my VM. One is a controller node and two managed node. Okay, so I have started this. So we'll directly go for practical thing. Okay, so this is my controller machine. So we'll go to our workspace. It is a workspace, and now here we have a configuration file, inventory file, and these three files we have made in previous sessions. So today we'll make for Apache. Okay, so Apache will configure Apache web server. So the file name I'm giving is apache.yml. So for writing YML file, the first step is we'll just press I to go to insert mode, then triple hyphen, then next line, what name we want to give our playbook. So we can say that Apache web server. We are creating this playbook for Apache web server. So Apache web server, and the hosts will be, let's say we want to do it on server A. So host is server A, and tasks, so multiple tasks we have to do. So I already said just now that four steps we have to do. So task, all four steps will come under task. So first step will be first step will be installing software. So installing software. Okay, so for module we'll use, for installing software we can use either package or yum module. So here I am using yum module. So in later session we'll use package also. So now yum module we are using. So yum module requires some argument. So argument will be name, which name, like which software I want to install. So it is HTTPD. Okay, now what state we want it to be. So we want that its latest version should be installed. So we'll give it latest, or we can give that present also, that whatever version of HTTPD is present, we just want to install it. So we can just give state as present also, but we want latest version of this, so we are giving as latest. Fine. Now next task will be we don't want to copy web page here. We'll just see that whether our web server is running or not with the help of its default web page. So we won't copy any web page here. We'll just start the service. So start service, start service. For starting service, the module is service module itself, and service module requires some argument, and that argument will be name, means which service we want to start. So service can be HTTPD. Then what state we want, it's what state we want to start it. So state will be started. And do we want it to be enabled even after boot? So yes, we want it to be enabled, so enable should be true, either true or yes, whatever we want we can give. And now next task we want should be that we want to stop firewall for, or we want to allow firewall for this HTTP or AT port. Okay, so name will be allow firewall, allow firewall. So for this, module is firewall D, module is firewall D, and it requires argument like which service we want to allow. So we can give service here, or if we want we can give port also. So service is HTTP. Either we can give service or we can write port as AT and /TCP. We can write any of these. So I'm writing service here. And then whether we want it to be permanent or not. So yes, I want it to be permanent, so permanent true. And also state, whether we want to start firewall for this, or means or we want to stop firewall for this. So state we want it to be enabled, means even after boot it will be enabled. And immediate effect we want, so immediate will be yes. Fine. So now we'll just save this and run this. So Ansible playbook, the file name is Apache. So run, so now we'll run this, and so it has gathered fact. Now it will install software if everything will be right in playbook. So it is, I think it's installing software. So changed server means it has installed software, then service started. So everything is orange color, means software has been installed, service has been started, and firewall is also allowed for that. So we can check that as we have stopped firewall, so we can, from this controller node itself, we can check that whether that is reachable or not. So for checking that, we have command curl. So we'll do curl http, then colon // and that is server A. So we'll just type this, and here we can see that we got output means it is reachable. Fine. So we can see from our browser also that we can go to our browser and we can see from over there also. So from here we can check http colon // and IP is 172.50.12.202. So this is my IP. I'll just check. So it is showing me yes, this is the Apache web server. It is working properly. Okay. Now as we see that in the file apache.yml, we have hard coded that we want to configure Apache web server. So here we have written that we want to install HTTPD server, HTTPD software, and service that we want to start is HTTPD. Okay, and this HTTP service we want to firewall to allow. Okay, so here we have hard coded everything. But let's say we want the same playbook to work for another web server also. So here we have to come to this playbook, and again we have to change here, and everyone we have to change here. This is just a small play, so we have written keywords like one or two place only, but it might be possible that we might have written the same keyword many places. So if we want to make changes, then we have to change it everywhere, right? So that may cause some error, that at some point we will forget to change. So for that we have concept of variable. So we will declare the variable and we'll just have to change the value of variable, and it will make changes all everywhere. Okay, so for that we have keyword vars. Whatever variable we want to use, we'll just declare it or define it at the above, after host and before task. There we can declare whatever variable we want. So as we want that, this is the software we are installing here. So let's say we want that package variable it is, and we want to give it name as httpd. Okay, so as we have given the name package httpd, so we don't need to write httpd all everywhere. So here we can remove it and we can simply write like this, that we want here we have to write the reference of variable. So reference is package. Okay, so space, then this, and double quote. Okay, close. So here also, and starting of services, here also we just have to give the reference package, and just this. And now we'll save this file and we'll run it again, and we'll check whether it is working or not. So we'll run this playbook again. If any error will be there, then it will show us error. If any error won't be there, then it will just show everything in green color, that everything is already done. Okay, so I'm running it again, just to show that this is the concept of variable, that we don't need to write the same thing everywhere. Instead of writing same thing everywhere, we can just give the reference of some variable, and we can declare a variable. So we can here see that everything is in green color, means whatever we have written there, that like we can remove some keyword and we can use variable concept there. Okay, so we have used vars option. Instead of vars, we have some other way also for declaring or defining variable. So first we'll discuss what is variable, Ansible variable, and what is its use case, why we need variable. Okay, so let's go to here. Okay, so Ansible variable. So Ansible variables. Okay, so Ansible variable, it is like a value, it stores value, that if we want to give some we want to use some keyword, then we can just store it in some variable. Okay, and we can use that variable everywhere, so that if we want to change the value of that variable, then we just have to change the value of variable once at that variable point, and it will make changes at all the points. So it stores values, and it can be that variable can be reused again and again. Okay, throughout the file in any Ansible project. Okay, and also it will reduce the number of error. As I said, that if we will use the same keyword everywhere, then it might be possible that at some point we'll just write some another keyword, and it will make changes, it will cause error. So with the help of variable, we can reduce errors. Also it provides convenient way to manage dynamic values. Okay, so let's say that okay, so first, convenient way to provide dynamic values. Okay, so let's say that if we have created that just now we have created a playbook for Apache web server. Okay, so instead of Apache web server, let's say we want Nginx web server should be there. So we can do it just with the help of variables, and we don't need to make changes in playbook everywhere. So let me show it. So this is my controller node. Here again I'll go to this file. So as we have used variable package variable in place of stdpd. So let's make changes, and in place of stdpd just change it to nginx. Okay, nginx. So I have made changes just at one place, and we'll run this playbook again. So we have run this playbook again, and we'll see that it will install the software again, and it will start the service again, and it will do all the things again. Okay, for nginx server, just with the help of variable, and we have made the change in variable just once. Okay, so let it run. Okay, and also we can use this variable in many way. There are a lot of way to use variable, and so here we can see that it is installation of software is done, but in starting service it is saying that systemctl status nginx service. So it has given me error that unable to start service nginx. So it is obvious that as we have started a Apache web server on this port 80, so it won't get started for nginx also. So let's do it for server C instead of server A. So let's do it for server C. So server C, I will just save it and run it for server C. Okay, so it will run. So meanwhile it is running it, I'll just tell that we can use this concept of variable at many place, that we can use Ansible variable. For example, let's say we can use Ansible variable for users to create. Okay, so let's say we want to create 4-5 users, so we don't need to write that same play for creating user again and again. We can just define the variable, name of all the user will be there in that variable, and that playbook single play will create all the users. Okay, and we can just give the packages, that which all package we want to install. So we'll just give the name of all the package once, and it will install all the package, and which all services we want to start. So we don't need to hard code our playbook with these things. We can just make a variable for these things, and it will help us to reduce error, and it will do it easily for us. And we can also mention all the files which we need to copy or remove. So for all these use cases, variable helps us a lot, and many more use cases are there for variables. So let's check whether it has completed or not. So here for server C, we can see that software has been installed, service has been started, and it has allowed the firewall also. So first let's go to our server C, and its IP is 1355. Okay, so again we'll go here, and here we'll give the IP of that. So it is 1355. So we can see that it is saying welcome to Nginx on Red Hat whatever. So it is Nginx server. So we have started Nginx server, just making change at one place, that is at variable name. We did not need to change the software name and service name all everywhere. Okay, so this is the main use case of variable. It helps us a lot in doing all those things. So now variable naming. There is some rule for naming variable. So variable naming. So variable name should always start with letters. It cannot start with any symbols or 1 2 or any digits or any underscore or hyphen. It cannot start with these things. It should be always ABC, like any letter, capital or small, it should be letter only. Okay, and we can name of variable can be consist of letters or underscores and numbers. Means it can contain these things, but it should not be at, these two should not be at the first place. So I can give some example that uh, example of variable name. So let's say web server. So this is not a correct way. Instead of this, we can write web server, just this, or we can also write web underscore server. So these two we can write, but simply space we can't give in between. Okay. And also like one file, this is wrong because it is starting with one. Instead of that, we can write either file1 or we can write file underscore 1. Okay. And also like these things are not acceptable. We can't use any server $1. This is also wrong because, as I said, it can only consist of letters and digits. It can't consist of any symbol other than underscore. So instead of that, we can write server underscore 1. Dollar is not allowed, ampersand is not allowed, any other symbol is not allowed. So these all are the right way for declaring or defining any variable, and these can't be, because it can only consist of letters, numbers and underscores, and it should not start with any means anything. It will start with letters only. Okay. So this is the way for writing or defining variables. Now there are some way for defining variables. So there are some way, you can say, or some scopes. So 3 scopes are there for defining variables. So the scopes are: one, we can define it at global level or global scope. Okay, global scope. And other can be play scope. So what is this? I'll define. And one is host scope. Means the variable will define at global scope. It can be used throughout the Ansible project. Means as we are using Ansible within a working directory, so we can use throughout the working directory the variable that will come under global scope. We can use throughout the working directory. And play scope, the variable will define, we can use throughout the play only. If we'll define any multi-play playbook, then that variable can be used inside one play only. Okay. So, and this is host scope, means we can define these variables, and for some host pattern we can say either group or specific host. Okay, means you can say host pattern. So for specific host pattern we can use these variables that will come under host scope. So global scope we'll give some example. So we'll see what can be global scope and what can be play and host scope. Okay, so there are some these are scopes that at what level we can define the variables. So there are some ways to define variables. Variable. So ways can be: one, with the help of where's keyword that we have already seen. With the help of where's keyword, how we can create any variable. And second is where's files. Okay, so now let's see how to use where's files. Okay, so let's go to our controller node again, and here we have created Apache YML. So in place of where's, we'll just replace where's with where's files. Okay, so where's files, and under that we can't write the variable name directly. Instead of variable name, we have to define the file name whichever we want to use as variable. So let's say we will create a file, let's say abc whatever abc.yml, or just abc also we can write. Okay, so we'll just save it. So as we have written abc.yml, so we have to create a file abc.yml, and in that file we can mention the variable name. So let's create that file. abc.yml, and inside that file we can mention our variable name. So let's give the variable name as we have given there, package. So package, this is key, and value will be there we have written nginx, so let's write nginx only. Okay, so we'll save this file also. Now we'll run that playbook again and we'll see that it is working properly, and it will give everything in green color because already nginx server has been configured, so it will give everything in green color. So I just told the way that we can either use where's keyword, means we can declare our variable under where's block, or we can declare our variable in any external file, YML file, and that file we can use under where's files keyword. So we can use any number of like 4, 5, 6 files where our variable will be present. We can use those files under where's files. Okay, so here we have written abc.yml. If we will have variable in many files, so we can just make it as like abc.yml, or if we have some more file like xyz.yml, so we can write this also here. So but here now we have only one, so we'll just write only one. Okay, now so second way was using where's file. Some more ways are there, so let's see again. So first is where's, second is where's files. Now third way can be that if we want to define the variable on the run. Okay, so that will come under global scope, that we have written a playbook and we just want to make some changes in a variable value on the run. So that is like from command line, that will come under command line, and that is known as extra variable. Okay, so that is known as extra variable, and that comes under global scope. Global scope means if we want to change the value of some variable, then it will make changes to that value of variable to all the place whatever will be written inside a playbook. So let's go to practical thing, and again we'll see that here we have so many files. So let's go to user create. So user create file is there. So here instead of username, simply we have written username Ram. Okay, so instead of username Ram, we'll use some other variable. So let's make changes to this name. So just user. Okay, so user, we want user, and we want to create it with 3501 UID. Okay, so we can give like UID also, we can give from input, or we can just keep it as variable. So let's keep it as variable only. So UID, and here also we'll just mention the UID. Okay, and here one more variable will define, and that will be UID. Let's say 3501. So sorry, 3501. So we have given the name as user name as Ram and UID as 3501. Okay, so we have hard coded this. Now we will just hard code this, and we will make changes while running this playbook. So the way of running playbook is Ansible playbook, and playbook name is user create.yml, and we want to change the name of user. So we have to use extra variable. So for extra variable, keyword option is -e, and we want to change the name. That variable is user, so we want, instead of Ram user, we want it to be Tony, let's say. Okay, so just we have done this, and it will create user with the name Tony. Okay, and so it has gathered fact. Now it will create, so we can see here that it has created a user. So we did not like, it is not showing anything in detail. So let's increase the verbose, and then it will show that which user it has created. Okay, so it ran handlers and it has made changes, and group 2500 UID 3501 present name Tony. So on the run we gave the name as Tony, so it created the user Tony, okay, instead of Ram. Wherever we have mentioned the name Ram in playbook, but still it has created the user Tony. Why? Because we have given extra variable while running the playbook. Okay, so the third concept or third way of defining variable was command line, that we can use a command line, extra variable we can give from command line. Okay, now some more ways are also there. So fourth way can be where's prompt. Okay, so here in the name only we can see that it is prompt. Okay, prompt means it will prompt us, it will prompt user for the variable. Just let's say we have hard coded, we have some variables in our playbook, but we want it to be changed, and we want like that user creation is there. So while creating user, every time we want to create user with different name. Okay, name should be different, UID should be different, so these things should be different. So we can't hard code these value in playbook. So we'll just want that whenever user will run the playbook, they will give the name of user, they will give the UID that they want to give to that user. Okay, so for that it will prompt for the variable values. Okay, so we'll just do it again. So this is my controller node, and again we'll go to that same file, user creation. Okay, so here we have hard coded RAM and hard coded this UID. So either we can just give extra variable while running, or we can ask prompt for asking variable. So for prompting, the variable is the option is where's prompt. Okay, so for where's prompt we have to it will prompt for asking value of that keyword. So there's some there's a bit different way for that. So we have to give some more value. So we want to ask user value and UID, both the value. So first for user value we have to give name, that what value what is the name of variable we are giving. So name of variable is user. Then what it should prompt while asking for the value for user variable. So we have to give in double quotes which user you want to create. Okay, so it will ask this, then double quotes close, and then it will means private option is there. So private option is there for whether we want that whatever user will input, it should be visible or it should not be visible. If we want it to be visible, then private should be no. If we don't want it to be visible, then private should be yes. So normally when we type password, then we don't want it to be visible. So for that reason we make private yes. But as we are here, we are just typing the user, so it can be no. Okay. Now another variable also we want to define. So that variable name will be UID, and it will prompt for what UID you wanna give to your user. Fine. So and again we don't want it to be private, but let's keep it private for now, so that we can see that what is the use case of private. Okay, so we'll just save it, and we'll run this playbook again. So we don't need to give any extra variable, so we'll just run it. So it is asking me which user you want to create. So let's say I want to create Jack user. Now what UID you wanna give to user? So I want to give 2505 UID. So I have given 2505, but it is not showing because I have made it on private is equals to yes. so it won't show me whatever input I have given. Okay, now it will create the user with the UID 2505 as I said. So here we can see that user creation with UID 2505, and uh, here also we can see that group 2505 UID 2505 it has created, and user here also it has changed that user 205, and name of user is Jack. We can see that it has done all those things. Okay, now so this was again the way for defining the variable. So we have discussed 4 way, and there is one more way for defining variable. So we have discussed variable for play scope. So this vars is for play scope. Okay, play scope. This is also for play scope, and this command line, it is global, that it can this can make change to complete playbook. So this is global scope, and vars prompt again it is for play scope only. So this is also play scope. Okay, so one more way for defining variable is there. So many more are there. So another are the with the help of roles, inside roles we can do that, but we will discuss it later, the role thing. For now, one more way is there, that is host or group label. Okay, so this way, this is also very important way for defining any variable. So before that, so let's discuss it first. So we can define variables directly for host or group. We can say that for host pattern we can directly create variable. Okay, so for that we have to create 2 directories. Okay, 2 directories we have to create. So one can be for host and one can be for group. So the directory for host will have name host underscore vars. Okay, so this will be the directory name for host variable, and for group variable the directory name will be group vars, and these directories should be present inside our working area, or we can say that workspace. Okay, so these should present under our workspace, and under that we can create file, like here we are using server A, server B, server C. So under that we will have file with the name server A, server B, server C. Okay, and groups we are using dev, prod and test, I guess. Okay, I'll show it again that which all groups we are using. So here we are using dev, prod and test. So we have to, so the directory structure will be like, we are using our workspace, and under workspace many more files are already there, like inventory file is there, configuration file is there, and many more YML file, that is playbook we have created. So these are already there, and apart from those we will have 2 directory, that is host vars directory and group vars directory, and under host vars directory we want to create variables. So we have to create variables separately for each host. So for server A we will create this server A file, and under this file we will define all the variables. For server B we will create server B file, and under this we will create or define all the variables for server B, and same for server C. And in similar way we will have group vars directory. Under this directory, as many groups we have to define that many file, and under those many files we have to define separate variables for all the groups. Fine. So I'll show the like direct demonstration of this. So if we want to see the directory structure of this, so we have tree command. So for tree command we have to create it, we can simply create in install it with yum install tree. Okay, so we can install this command and install this package, and then we can just see. So let's go to our controller node, and here we'll create this type of structure. So first let's say that we want to create this structure like this is this is our workspace, and a workspace name is also workspace for us. And then under this we have inventory file. We have ansible.cfg file, and we have some playbook.yml. We have some playbook, okay. And then we will have group underscore vars directory, and under group underscore vars directory we should have dev file, we should have prod file, we should have test file, okay. Also under host underscore vars we should have server A file, server B file, and server C file, okay. So this should be our working directory structure. So in order to make directory structure like this, so we have to create two directory first, okay. That is group vars and host vars. So let's create mkdir group vars, fine. So we'll now go to group vars, cd group vars. So here we have to create file variable file for all the groups. So our first group is dev, so we'll just give the name dev. It is again YML file, but we don't need to give this extension YML, just we can give the name dev, okay. We have to give the name dev, okay. So we want to give package variable, we want to create or define package variable, and we want package should be for dev, we want package should be httpd, let's say, okay. So and service should be again httpd, fine. Now we'll save this file. We have saved this file. Now we want to create some more file, and that file name will be dev. For dev we have created, for prod also we will create. So for prod we want to create it as package mysql, okay, mysql, and we'll just save it. We want to create a same file for test also, so test. So here let's create again the package only. So package will be let's say nginx, okay. So we have created, and we'll save it. Now we'll go back to our working directory. So there is shortcut for going back to the previous directory, cd space hyphen. So we again came to our landed to our working directory. Now again we'll create folder for host variable. So host variable, the folder will be hosts underscore vars, okay. So now we'll do cd into host vars folder. Here we'll create file vim server A is there. So for server A we will create this file, and let's say we want to create some user and UID, okay. So user will be let's say user will be honey, and UID will be 5000, okay. We'll just save it, and we'll create another file for server C, okay. So here user, let's take Johnny, and UID will be 5001, okay. We can give the same UID also, because we are using another server, so same UID can exist in another server. So for server C, server B also, let's create this file. So give the user name as same user we can also create, so Jack only, and UID let's give 5003, okay. So we'll just save it. And now if we want to use this, we can simply just will go to home directory first, and here we had user file, right? User create.yml. So now we don't want to use vars prompt. I have already shown the vars prompt thing. Now we'll remove the vars prompt, and instead of removing, we can use a comment out also, because I already told that in YML file we can use comments for commenting out things. Okay, so let's comment these out. So I'll just comment out these lines. Now instead of vars prompt, we'll just we won't use any variable, and in hosts we are using server A, so it will automatically go to that host variable folder, and from there it will see the variable file for server A, and for server A we have defined some user and UID, so it will just catch it and it will create user with the help of that. Okay, so let's save it and just run it. So we'll run this file, Ansible playbook for user create.yml. So okay, let me cancel it, and I'll just increase the verbose so that we can see which user it is creating. So first it will gather fact, and then so it is, here we can see that it is using UID 5000, and it has created the user with the name of honey, and UID is 5000. So how it get to know about these variables? So it get to know about these variables from the variable file that we have created for server A. Okay, so now we have seen that there are 5 ways. So as we have created these things, so we can see the directory structure. So for looking into the directory structure, we have command tree. So if we don't have command tree, we can just install with the help of dnf install tree or yum install tree. So we'll just type tree, and it will show us the directory structure. So our directory dot means the present directory. So present directory is workspace. So it is showing that in workspace we have file abc.yml, Ansible configuration, Ansible Apache YML, then group vars, and under group vars we have 3 files, dev, prod and test. So these files are the name of groups, because group vars, and under group files, then host vars, and these all are hosts that we are using. So these all are the files that is for respective hosts, and these all files are there. Okay, so this is the directory structure. We can see it from here. Now I have told that we can reference variable from with the help in like in playbook we have referenced variable with this way, like under double quotes we have written the variable name like this. Okay, so we, instead of this, we can simply write user also. Okay, but if we are using at the very first, like we are using value for, like we want to start service. Okay, so also for service name, if we want to start service, so for service name if we are giving http. Okay, so if we are writing like this, and in place of this if we are writing simply that service, okay, then it will fail, because as a value we can't write it simply. If as a value we are writing at very first element, then we have to keep it under double quotes. If we are using this variable other than starting, then we can skip this double quotes. If it is not clear, I can show it with the example. So again we'll just open this file only. So if we'll see that here we have used double quotes, so it is compulsory to use double quotes here. It is compulsory to use double quotes here, but here we can skip this double quotes. Even if we'll skip, it will work fine. Why? Because we are using it at later place. We are not using it at first place. If we'll use it at first place, then double quotes is compulsory. Okay. So I hope it is clear. Now we want to create multiple user. Okay, so for creating multiple user, one way can be that we will define the user like user 1 and name. Okay, for user 2 name, user 3 name, and user 1 UID, user 2 UID, and user 3 UID, and like that we can define. And then user 1 home directory, user 2, so we can define like this. And another way can be, we can define a variable like under vars. We can just define users, and under users, let's say first user is John, so John, under John name will be whatever name like John, and UID whatever UID we want to give, and home directory whatever home directory we want to give. So now second user will be Tony, so for Tony name and UID and home. So simply in this way we can, define the variable. And if we will define the variable in this way, then it will look so simple. And to the way, if we will write the variable in this way, then we have to retrieve, like wherever we will reference these variables, so we have to write like user 1 name. Okay, so it will be like this. And if we want to reference these variables, then the way can be users, as here user is there, then dot John dot name. Okay, so if we want to reference the name of John, then we have to reference it like this. If we want to reference the UID of Tony, then it will be users dot Tony dot UID. Okay, so we can reference this like we can reference it in this way. But there is a problem in this way, that if we will reference like this, then if it is like dictionary format, and Ansible is written in Python, so it is like this dictionary format of Python. So if this user or John or any name will reference to any method or function of Python, okay, method or function of Python, then it will create error, and it will create error. So to avoid that, there is one more way to reference these variable, and the way is like we can write user single quote John bracket close then name. Okay, or user single quote Tony then UID. So this is the best way to reference the variables defined in above way. So this is the best way, and it won't cause error at any time. So we can use the we can define either variable in this way, or we can define variable in this way. This looks so easy to understand, so this is the preferred way to use. This is the recommended way. Okay, now we'll create multi-play playbook. Okay, so now we'll create a playbook with multiple plays. So as we have started our managed node 1 and managed node 3, so let's say for server A, we want to configure it as HTTPD server, and server C as Nginx server. Okay, so in single play we will write both, and we will configure server A as HTTPD and server C as Nginx. And first we'll just hard code it, and later on we'll remove the hard coded thing with the variable value. Okay, so we'll just directly go to demonstration. So this is our controller node. We'll just save this. So in our workspace we'll create one more file multiple play dot yml, right? So we'll start with I, then triple hyphen, then for first we'll name it as, let's say, play1, and hosts will be server A, tasks. So first task will give name software installation. So as I said, for software installation we can use either yum or package. So we are using yum. So yum requires some argument. So argument will be which software you want. So software we want as httpd, and what should be the state of that software. So state of software I want it to be latest. Okay, then another task. So another task will be we can just start the service. So start service, and for starting service the module we can use is service module, and service module needs some argument, and argument is like name, which service you want to start or stop. So we want httpd service. So whether we want to start this service or stop this service. So we want to start this service, so state should be started. Okay, and whether we want it to be enabled after boot also or not. So yes, we want it to be enabled after boot also, so enabled true. Now some more task we want to add in it. So task name will be, first will allow firewall allow. Okay, so for firewall the keyword is firewall d. So here it is name, so keyword is firewall d, and firewall d again requires some key arguments. So there we have used service. So here I'll show it with port. So port 80, and it is TCP. We have to mention the protocol also. So we want it to be permanent. So true, we want it to be permanent, and also we want to see the immediate effect. So immediate yes, and state should be enabled even after boot. We'll just copy the same and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18. So 18 line we want to, 20 line we want to copy. So we'll just paste it here. Okay, now we'll press P. So it has been pasted. So this is our play 2. So again we'll go to insert mode. So this is our play 2, and we want to do it for server C and software installation, and the name will be Nginx. State again latest, service start. So again we want to start service for Nginx. State started, true, allow TCP port 80 only, and it should be started. Now we'll just save it and run it. Okay, so let's run it, and it should show everything in green color, because we have already configured server A as HTTPD server, web server, and server C as Nginx web server. So here we can see that software installation green, start service green, firewall allow green, and play 2 again software installation, firewall, start service, everything is in green color. Okay, so we can see it here. Now if we want to check whether our server is working or not, so we can either do curl http ://server A. So it is working. So for server C also we can check it from here, and also as we know that we can check it from our website also. So here we can see that it is showing that it is configured for Nginx, and if we want to check for the HTTPD, so our IP is this, so it will show that it is for uh, HTTPD. Fine. Now we can do some tricks and tweaks in that. So as this is our controller node, and we have defined some variables in the form of host and group variable. Okay, so let's first check the inventory file. So this is our inventory file, and here we can see that dev, prod and test groups are there. So under dev, server A is there, and under test, server C is there. So now we'll go to that our multiple playbook, and there in place of server A and server C we'll write dev and test. Okay, and we won't give the name of package. Okay, so again sorry, where is it? So again let's save it, and we'll go to that multiple playbook. So here as we have written server A, so in place of server A so in place of server A we will write dev. Okay, dev, and in place of server C we will write test. So for dev we don't want to use the name of software HTTPD, we will just write it as package. So as I said, if we'll use at first value, so we have to use quotes also. So it is package. If you remember, we have defined this in a host vars folder for server A. So we have given the name package, and again for service also we'll use this service keyword. Okay, and for Nginx again we will use the name as package, and for service also we will use the name as service. Okay, so now we'll save it and we'll run it again. So before running we'll just check that whether we have written the same software name or not. So let's go to, we are using group, so we have to go to groups var folder, and there we have 3 files. So let's check for dev file first. So here we have written HTTPD and service name and package name both. So now check for test. For test, package name is Nginx, and service name we have not given, so we have to add service name also. So we have to write that. So I and service Nginx only. Okay. Now we'll run that playbook again. Okay, and we'll see that again there will be no changes, because even if we have could not be found, because we are in different folder, we are not in our working directory. So we have to go to our working directory. So now we are in our working directory, and from here we can run this file. So there will be no changes, because even if we have removed the package name directly, but we are using the variables from the host group variable, so there will be no changes. Everything will be clean and clear and will be in green color itself. Okay. So yes, for play 1 everything is in green, for play 2 also everything is in green color. Okay, so that's all for today, and if anyone will have any doubt regarding these things, they can ask in comment box. We'll answer that there. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.